Welcome to Hey Boo. Hey Boo, what's up?
Hey Boo, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. We just did yoga together. Just want to say
Yeah.
that. Lauren got cute, and I stayed the same. For the record, but
Literally put on a sweater and earrings.
and
And
she has a cool background. So just yeah, and a little lip.
but we wanted to try to give you guys a little bit of love on Valentine's Day. So here we are, and we're here to talk about sex play and Valentine's Day.
What the hell does that even mean? Like, okay, so
It's interesting because we actually had different definitions of what sex play and Valentine's Day is and what it means, and that's kind of how we're just going to start this discussion. Is I think everybody has different definitions of what sex play means and why we decided to use this title in the first place. So I picked it because Linnea and I did a training together maybe about a year ago, and one of the topics was about sex play. It was with Dr. Sue Johnson, and one of the things that she said that really stood out to me is that adults don't play like little kids do. That sex is actually play for adults. So it's kind of how we're able to get our sillies out in a way, but with our romantic partners or sex partners, right? So then, what does that look like when you're in a long-term relationship? Or by yourself as a single, because even if you're single, you still want to have sex or play with yourself. So how do we bring it
you do?
into?
Just kidding.
I know. So gotta have sex with
Some
somebody,
people
right?
do.
Some
Okay.
people do.
Wait, I didn't go to this training with you. I don't think.
You sent it to me and I listened to it. I felt like we were in
Oh,
it at the
was it like
same
a
time.
podcast? I'm curious because
It was with Dr. Sue Johnson. She's like one of the foremost relationship therapists of all time.
no, I know Dr. Sue Johnson, and I love her because I'm trying to read her book right now.
I'm
Um,
reading it. Yeah.
are you reading one of her books? What book are you reading?
Hold Me Tight.
Okay, I was listening to that. I wish I could see the one I'm doing is the practice of emotionally focused therapy,
Oh, that's
and
good.
it's kind of nice because when I read it, I think about clinical stuff, but I also think about my own relationship as I read the book. And I'm only able to read 2 pages a night because then I fall asleep. But so far, it is great, and I totally believe this is a total aside, and I want to get back to sex play, but that the emotional connection is like literally everything. It's like
You think it's everything?
in I'm speaking from my lens of being in a marriage in a long-term monogamous relationship. So I that is when I think of that, yes. When I think back to my 20s for sex play, oh no. No, I think it doesn't need to be there at all. In fact, sometimes it's better when it's not there. So,
That's true, right?
sidebar. Yes,
Sidebar.
I often, and that's a good, I often think about things in my own lens, right? Which is like what we want to be conscious of today, too, is like that there's so many different types of love and sex and sexting and sex play, and it looks so different from like couple to couple and like non-couple to non-couple, single to single.
Or couples to singles or singles and mixing in with all kinds of, listen, I think that it's like being open minded about how it looks for whatever it is that you're going to do, right? And we have been talking about so many different things about sex play too, and what it looks like. What are some of the things that you got from your emotionally focused therapy practice that you thought would be useful for bringing it into topic with this today?
Nothing. I don't think I didn't think about that book until we had this conversation. To be honestly, I'm not saying it's not important in this conversation, but when I was thinking of the topic today, what I thought about was sex toys. To be honest, that was like the number one thing when I'm like sex play. I'm like, oh, like toys, and like that's what makes it like so playful. And the second thing I talked about or thought about was the idea of like truly being present in the experience and not trying to get to the orgasm or to the climax or to what the end result of like it being over, which took me my entire life, I think, up until very recently to kind of like realize that's what it's about, not like the outcome, and not having like outcome driven like sexual experiences, that the play is like in the process. Those were like what came to mind for me.
I mean, so it's interesting because I agree with you 100% that like being present is like the most important thing, right? One of the other things I think that comes into handy with the sex play is even just the mindfulness aspects of it, right? About being like the being present piece, but like focusing on your breath, focusing on your partner's breath, focusing on like how things feel, right? Like the texture of like how things feel when it's coming across your skin. That's where some of the toys and other types of things that you can play with come in handy too, right? So like I think about not just sex play, I think about like just actually playing with your partner, like kind of even with like maybe not just toys, but like swings and cards and dice. And does that look like having handcuffs or a pillow support, or what does it look like for your relationship? But it can also just be playing a regular silly game with your partner and feeling that emotional connection, or talking about your fantasies, which can be a very playful thing to do too, right?
Yeah, yeah. You just like I
Did
feel
I
like
just
I feel
take
like
it
my
to
30s has been this whole thing of like remembering things I did in my 20s, and like you just triggered a memory, and like my husband's not watching, but there I have this like vivid memory of having sex with this guy who I love. Oh my god, didn't actually love him, but I remember it was the first time I like cuffed somebody, and like that shit was so fun, and like I just remember that was like one of the most, and it was the first time, so maybe like drugs, like the first time you do something, but as soon as you said that, I was like, I had this like flashback of like being the dominating person who like handcuffs this like burly man, and that was playful. That was fun.
And I think that there's all kinds of things that, so if you wanted, if you're into bondage, right? Like, do you have to only use handcuffs? No. How do you even know if you're into
That's
bondage
what
if
I was
you
gonna say. I wouldn't say I was a
have
bondage person, but like that day I was.
But
I
like, I'm not gonna tie you up. I might want you to tie me up, but like, do I have to use handcuffs? Can we use a tie? Can we use a scarf? Can it be something soft? Does it have like, I think that like there's, it's so interesting because now I'm thinking about that 50 Shades of Grey thing where they're used like very specific kind of like ropes and other things because it's a part of like the BDSM lifestyle. And I think that, okay, well, I'm like, a rope might hurt me, but maybe that might be interesting. But I don't, just being open to it. I think the most important thing is communication, right? And checking to see what your partner feels most comfortable with. One of the things that I've gotten, so this is going to sound like a weird translation of things, right? Because I'm going to talk about 7-year-olds. So I've been able to listen to a bunch of 7 and 8-year-olds playing a lot online because I'm a mom, and that's my life right now because the kids all play together all the time, and I hear how they're playing together, and some of the things that I hear them doing because of its video games on the internet. I'm sure that soon your oldest son will be a part of this crew in a little bit, Linnea, but not yet. We're gonna give him a little bit more time. But they're playing things like Roblox, and you can hear them, find me over here. Wait, you're not in the right place. I wanted to play this game. Do you want to play this game next? And I just think about like the compromises, the communication, the frustration sometimes that comes along with them, like talking about what they want in this game. This is not, I'm not talking about little kids doing like sex or anything like that together. I'm talking about like them just playing, and like how that translates to us as adults who want to play with each other in this way. So like think about little kids playing. Oh, I'm going to pause there because now we have to pause for a message from our sponsor.
Okay, I want to say one thing after, I guess. I don't like this being told what to do thing. Wow, that was deep. Okay, so we're gonna give some shout out to Bougie Butter, who you're gonna hear about every single time because we're sponsored and in partnership with Bougie Butter. This show is brought to you by Bougie Butter, a Black woman-owned business that handcrafts natural skincare products to promote self-care for your skin, your soul, and is based out of Los Angeles, California.
Am I supposed to be reading my
Yeah,
part?
Lauren. But you can also check out their amazing skincare products at www.bougiebutter.com and follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Bougie Butter. Also, we have a code, HeyBoo10, and you can receive 10% off of your first purchase. Bougie Butter luxury for your skin.
And it's very luxurious.
Oh my god, so good.
All the time. I love it. Okay,
And
so
handcraft. Just one more thing. Handcrafted is legit crafted by like hands. Like someone's hands are making these products. It's not just like this catchword. Like it's actually made with like somebody's hands. So it's pretty awesome.
and love and lots of love, which is why it's so extra
Totally.
special.
Totally.
So with what I was saying about communication and the little kids, what's your feedback on that, Linnea?
Well, it's my brain's psycho. Like anytime I hear something, I'm like, there's two thoughts. I never have like one response. So my first thought is that same theory holds true for when you put IKEA furniture together with someone. Like, you get so like you have to communicate, and you're like, no, wrong hole. Like move it up, and like it's so. I've had so many laughs during that, like, but also frustrations because you're like, it's so hard to do. But like
But
you
I,
need two people to do it, and you got to get it right. So, that's what made me the parallel I thought of as well.
but some, you don't always need two people to be able to have a good time having sex, right? That's
And
also one of the things. There can be any number of people there with you that you like, including just you. So that's one of the reasons why we did want to also talk about sex play by yourself, right? Because I think that single people, whether you have already had your kids or whatever, I'm sure that, we're all going to give, something for Valentine's Day to somebody that we care about, even if it's just yourself, right? But I think that there's something about like that self-love aspect of like masturbation, even in like a long-term relationship, right? Like I'm married, I still take time to masturbate if I have the time and if my house is empty and if so many ifs factors. So I feel like maybe that's something that I might miss. And that might be a part of my gift to my own self for Valentine's Day is giving myself the gift of being able to kind of pay attention to my own body in such a great way.
I feel like this is a natural segue into like tips too. And so what I'll add is like what a great opportunity, like if you are single, to like go to your local sex toy store and like buy something or try something that like you haven't before in terms of like self-love. And also self-love obviously doesn't need to be sexual. Like it can involve self-care or a massage or like just really setting the mood and having a romantic time with yourself. But obviously you're gonna find out, and you already know we love talking about sex, so we're gonna just highlight that part. But try something new, like whether it's with a partner or like with yourself. That would be like definitely advice I would give, no matter where you are in relationship or just on the sexuality spectrum. Any tips that you would give or like advice around how to have sex play on this Valentine's Day, since that's the title
Okay,
of
so we talked about sex toys. One of the things that I've seen is, and we actually talked about this, you and I did, about, you actually mentioned at the beginning, is like the intimacy piece that kind of goes along with it, right? About like kind of like that emotional closeness. So like maybe you do something that makes you feel emotionally close. Like there's like cards that you can, like I've seen for like different stages of different relationships where you can ask your partner questions about everything. I think that talking about fantasies is really interesting and healthy. And I think that it kind of gives you a way to be able to eventually act some of those things out. So like, even if you don't act them out, I think that talking about it is kind of healthy in some ways, because it's like, it's not in your head and it doesn't make it so taboo. And I think that one of the things that makes sex sometimes a little bit stigmatizing, which is one of the questions that you asked in the feedback, we can talk about our feedback, is like, what is the memo that you have about sex and how do you communicate about it with your partner?
Totally. And first of all, I don't know why my algorithm is doing this to me, but I've been getting those ads on Instagram about like the sex cards, and I actually would love to. I'm like so intrigued. I'm like, how do you know that I actually like low key want to buy these? Like, because I've been seeing them, and I'm like, this is cool, but also like I don't know how my partner is gonna. Like does he think it's as cool as like I do? Because so I think the cards. I would love to hear if someone's like played that game and how it's gone, and be open to it, and maybe we need to like buy it and try it and like talk about how it went.
We
Um,
should we should definitely do it on
good.
our list to do.
And what did you say? Sorry, pregnancy brain. You said something before that like made me want to say something else. What did you just say? It was good.
You
I
can
want.
change the subject. You don't have to answer everything I talk
Oh,
about.
oh no, the responses about so yes. So I think the communication sounds all unwell. Like communicate. Why wouldn't you like communicate with your partner about your needs and what hole and like where and when and like how long?
Right?
But I think most of the people who responded said that like sex was shameful or not talked about. Like I think one person maybe said that like there was like a slightly positive light like growing up, and so, and I've heard that so many times too, like anecdotally from friends of my own generation of like still growing up it was not either not talked about, or you know you were shamed, like even called names for like engaging like then before a certain time. And so what is that, how open are you then to communicate with your partner the way you're supposed to in order to have this sex play if it's not even like a comfortable like realm for you, you know?
I mean, I think that you're absolutely right. And I think that, like, I grew up in a house where I got mixed messages about sex, right? Like, there was a lot of sex positivity in my house, but then there was, like, also a little bit of shame that kind of came with it, and a lot of religiosity that also came with the sexual experience, right? Oh, it's supposed to be something that only happens in a marriage. And, like, the reality is that, okay, that didn't happen. So then where does some of that shame go? And then how do you take some of that away? Like you said, like the names and all the other stuff that kind of goes along with it. How do you take those preconceived ideas that other people have given you about sex to be able to allow you to really fully appreciate and enjoy it as an adult, right? Like as somebody who wants to be able to like really fully engage and be present. I thought we were going to talk about more applicable sex tips, but I think that this is probably one of the more useful things that we can talk about, right? Is like one of the main things that we've been able to do at this point in our careers is destigmatization, right? Is talking about how to release the stigma from things that we feel like we've had to hold on to, including mental health, including sexuality, including what it means to be a person of color and what that experience is like for all of us, and how there's a lot of shame surrounded with all of that, and even the hypersexualization of Black women in culture and over this lifetime span, et cetera. Like, so we can talk about all of that um, a lot, but it doesn't change how sometimes that might make us feel, right?
And I would just add like I like every time I see like a non-porno sex scene like in a movie, I'm just like we've grown up. It's almost like the Disney phenomenon for like adults. Like you see this like very manicured romantic, like it starts with like passionate kissing, and then it's like, and it's like
Mhm.
this calculated like sex experience that like is the status quo, when like real sex exploration, like it might, it's not going to be, it might not even start passionate. Like you might have to work your way up to getting to that place. Like it might start and you maybe not feeling it, but like you work with your partner to get to the point where you are feeling it, and then it's like that becomes all worth it. But I always like recently, I said I always and recently, so it's both.
You know what I was thinking about when you were talking about that perfect sex scene?
But
A fart that comes out in sex. It's like not sexy.
I have to say, I have to,
Farts, queefs.
oh my god, how embarrassing! Like no control either. Talk about relinquishing
They
control.
don't put that in any of the movies,
They
even the
should.
edits
They
of
should.
the porn. They're not putting that part. They're not putting.
Dude,
You can't smell their morning breath. Like there's like a whole bunch of like kind of things that make it seem like sex should be sexy, but then it's like these are curated experiences that people are having. I think that that's really good that you mentioned porn too, right? And the movie industry, because those, and I'm, and we lived in LA together, so like you have to remember that like where Linnea went to college is one of the biggest places that people who make porn, like where they attend school. So
San
for your
Fernando Valley, California.
San Fernando Valley is like the
And
sex
I
capital.
specifically, even though my school was in Northridge, but very close.
And so, so I feel like there's a lot of like uh, unrealistic expectations about sex from what we receive in the media. And then there's like the real, really, really gritty part of it when you're doing it in real life, including some of those embarrassing things, right? Like they're not showing some of these things in a way that looks like what we're actually doing, right? It's curated. So I think that that's important to realize that your sex isn't going to look like that. I mean, maybe it does, and that's cool for you too.
Yeah,
I mean, there are
maybe it
people who
does.
are on only fans that get paid for it now, like just regular folks that get paid to like have you watch them in their house and then you watch them if they like end up having sex with a partner. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's like new kind of thing. I guess you have to pay. I guess there's some, I've heard that there are some celebrities that do it and you have to pay like $5 or something like that to watch them. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I don't really like being a voyeur like that, but I think that
Huh.
some people are really into it. But I think that that's also something you should add. Talk to your partner if they're into that type of sex play too. So just, I think it's just about like being open.
Yeah, and like you don't have to succumb to this is my own soapbox to like corporate like buying bullshit. Like you can just have quality time with yourself or with your partner, and I think that that's kind of like also was very foundational in creating this episode of like there's a spectrum. Like we wanted to talk about how like you can just like honor and love your either your relationship or your sex during Valentine's Day in a really intimate way, all the way up to like we're going to talk about getting freaky and getting down, but we only have 20 minutes, so we can't talk about it all. And somehow it's like, how is it connected to your mental health? Like, I think that, there's the actual physiological piece of where you release your oxytocin and you actually get a hug from inside. And like, that is important. And it's not just about like fucking, like, it actually does feed into your own mental health needs. And, not that you have to have it, but it has a lot of benefits to sort of like allowing yourself to go there and explore and enjoy.
And so as you're talking about oxytocin, like we can really like go all the way there with it, right? That like even the idea of having skin to skin contact with another human being can help raise those levels, even if you're not engaging in actual full intercourse. So like even the idea of like laying together and being naked at the same time can be something that can be really intimate and can be incredibly powerful for helping to increase the intimacy that you're hoping to be able to have with your partner, right? I think that it's just about really thinking about what you need, what your partner needs, and how to like kind of fall into that flow and vibe together. And my husband and I don't really do anything specific for Valentine's Day. I think that he feels a little pressure this Valentine's Day because we're like recording this episode. He's like, do I have to buy you a gift? And I was like, I mean, you can always buy me a gift. I will happily always receive flowers being thrown at my feet.
So George asked you what George feels the pressure about getting you a gift for Valentine's Day because we're making a big deal out of it. Well, that's fine. I was telling someone recently, our time is coming to a close, but I used to be like anti Valentine's Day, and I was just like, it's this made up holiday, and like you should love somebody every day. But now I'm like, it is kind of beautiful to pause and like take care of yourself or take care of your partner, or just have a special moment, and like it's on the calendar. So I've switched into more like being okay with like Valentine's Day as a true holiday, excuse me, that we celebrate, and like really try and make it special for someone else or yourself. So I don't.
Also try to celebrate a little bit with my kids because I think that they are eventually going to be grown men, and I would like for them to be able to express love openly with whoever it is that they choose to love. And so I want them to feel like it's acceptable for them to receive and give gifts on Valentine's Day or any holiday for that matter. And so I have like they're my little Valentines. So I'm going to do something special with them as well too. So
That's adorable. Cute, 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 cute. Well, should we like in true Hey Boo fashion, like what's on your to-do list before we say goodbye today? And what do you got going on? Because Lauren and I got these never-ending to-do lists that we're also balancing.
So, number one thing on your to-do list, because we also love assigning people more work to do, because that's all our jam, is to follow us at the official Hey Boo. I don't know
Hey.
if you guys have seen it up there this whole time. At the Hey Boo, it's our new podcast. And Hey Boo, just general IG handle. So follow us as soon as you can.
Um,
And on my list,
can I add
I'll
to
let
that
you go first.
before? Okay. While she's looking up her to-do list, we do have a new Instagram account, the official Hey Boo. And when you join and watch this episode and then tag a friend and make a comment, we'll do a whole post about it. You will have the chance to win a bougie butter sugar scrub. And so super pumped to spread the word. We're going to keep it open for about a week, and then we'll actually mail the winner a bougie butter, like full-sized body scrub. So
yes,
pretty cool. What's on your to-do list?
yes. And is it following reposts? What are the rules? You have to follow follow Hey Boo. Are you frozen? I
No,
forgot. There
I'm
was
just laughing
this.
because I'm like, I actually don't know in this very moment, but we're gonna post about it, so don't worry. We're gonna put the details. We'll put them
It will be posted for sure, for sure.
with clarity.
So on my list of things to do is I need to schedule a doctor's appointment for one of my kids. I need to go to the COVID testing site today and schedule a vaccine soon. And I need to, I did some of these things like creating our YouTube page already.
Yay!
And clean my house
Mm,
and the laundry. Is the laundry ever off my? It's never off my list. It's
standing, I know.
always.
Yeah, yeah. I have to go to IKEA today. We're remodeling our kitchen and doing a lot of DIY stuff. IKEA, we're making chicken soup. Oh, that it's like from scratch. And I haven't made a dental appointment for my kids all of COVID, so I'm gonna make dental appointments for the whole family, and it's just been the last thing on my to-do list, so I need to get that done. So
I should probably
adulting,
do that with kids as well. So my dentist, if you're watching, just know that you'll expect a call from me. And if you don't, just text me, okay?
just don't worry about it. We'll get in there.
I think my dentist watched our last
Oh,
episode.
that is so cool. Well, good oral hygiene is always that is connected to mental health too, and that we can talk about that a whole nother time. So lovely to do this with you. I just love seeing your face and just like spending time in general. Like it gave me like endorphins for today already. So can't wait until the
Me
next
too.
episode.
In our yoga with my sports bra still on. I love it. So hey boo, thank you. Have a good day, okay? Hey
Bye.
boos, thank you for all for joining us, for coming back.